Afternoon to all. Thank you, Emily, again, now that my voice can be heard. My name is Jouni Heinonen. I'm a landscape architect, and I work for the city of Helsinki. And the city of Helsinki is there behind me. I work in the city planning and the programming of future park design projects. The city of Helsinki is set in the northern shore of Bay of Finland, and as you look at it, you can understand that the history of the city has always been and always will be tied to the Baltic Sea very closely, economically, militarily, and culturally. And the city is placed on a peninsula. It's surrounded by the sea, and we have quite a unique setting because we have open views to the horizon from the actual city center. The city has grown gradually outward from the sea, but now in recent years we have this former harbor areas that are turned into new city parts, and we have, after a long time, we have urban development in the city center and in maritime areas. We're growing pretty fast at the moment. We're expected to grow by 250 new inhabitants by the year 2050. And this puts enormous pressure on our existing parks and recreational areas. And that's why we have started to see the potential of the archipelago we have right next to the city and the maritime areas in total. The concept of greener recreational areas in the last city plan of City of Helsinki was a green and blue networked city, which might sound quite obvious if you look at the aerial picture of the city. But we kind of noticed that we have a huge potential both for the recreation of the citizens and also for increased tourism in the maritime areas. And this was tackled in the recent maritime strategy made by the city and also in the city plan of 2016, which had a really strong maritime emphasis. One of the places where this maritime strategy aims to improve accessibility and improve services on the maritime areas and provide new events on the shoreline is the former military island of Vallisaari, which is the case example that I'm focusing now. The military left the area 8 years ago, and they left an island with military heritage, ramparts, and buildings and walls, gun batteries, mostly from the 19th century, from the Russian period, and also more modern, more utilitarian military landscape. The vegetation had taken over, and it was kind of a sleeping place with very little human influence in the last couple of tens of years. On the south side of the island, you can enjoy the horizon by yourself. It's a very peaceful area with direct access to the horizon. And on the north and western sides, you're right next to the UNESCO World Heritage Site of the island fortress of Suomenlinna, and about 20 minutes of boat ride from the center. So it's a very unique opportunity to have a new, quite big island or a couple of islands 20 minutes from the city center. And in addition to the culturally significant heritage, the nature is also very valuable on the islands, both because of the cultural impact of human settlement and also of the period of very low and intensive use in the last decades. it's also naturally very rich. The soil is rich and the geography is very varied. In 2016, the forest services of the state, which had become the landowner of the place, opened the island to the public access. The Forest Services is a state-owned enterprise that runs the national parks in Finland, and it was decided that this place is open to the public, open to recreation, a sort of national park, but it also has to be economically self-sustained, so they had to find some ways to create cash flow to pay for all the renovations and investments on the island. And that's where the city became involved and the land use process started. And we had to find a solution to have new building and new services on the areas to protect all the values and protect the nature. And the tool for this was a master plan made together in co-design and steered by both the city and the landowner. And the major starting point for this master plan was diploma work done by landscape architect Hanna Hannula, and she was able to continue the design for this in a consultant work. And this is the solution that's picked for the island, and there are in the yellow area in the north, new service buildings, hotels and cafes are able to be built, and most of the area is designated as a nature protection area. And while the land use process is ongoing, we have already dealt with the issues of erosion and the questions of carrying capacity. It was very popular when it was opened, and it has had about 100,000 visitors per year. So the use has been dramatically increased. And some years from now, the detailed plan will be ready to be implemented. And maybe next time you come to Helsinki, you can visit the forest cabins that are operated as a hotel. What we learned in the process with the landowner is the value of cooperation and co-design and partnership. The City of Helsinki owns most of the land area in the boundaries of the city, and usually operates so that it makes the detailed plans and then gives out the plots and builds the parks and roads. But on this maritime context, we need partners, we need ideas from the entrepreneurs, we need businesses to come and present their own value to the area, and the city cannot act alone. And the partnerships have been really important for the landowner. There are now cafes, tour operators, accommodation and boat traffic, and also a lot of volunteers have worked in the care of the landscape. The lady in the front is the former president of Finland doing volunteer work on the island. So what's next? On the island of Vallisaari, the city of Helsinki is organizing a biennial starting from next year. And it's really exciting to see what kind of art will be created on the island. It's the idea is a trip to wilderness in the art context. It's really exciting also in the sense that it's quite a challenge for the city and the landowner to build all the infrastructure that's needed for the 300,000 tourists that are about to come to the island or are expected to come. It's not the only new recreational island that we have the potential of developing. in addition to Vallisaari and Kuninkasaari, there's also a similar military island called Isosaari in the south, and then an island owned by the city called Vasikkasaari. We're going to run out of new islands, but we have quite a lot of potential in these ones for the few years to come. And Vasikkasaari also has some interesting industrial military history traces and unique community of small-scale cottage houses or cabins on the islands. At the moment, we're calling for tenders for business partners to provide ideas of business and to find partnerships for builders and providers of the maritime services on the area. And the other lesson we have learned is the value of going in small increments and experimenting the ideas, and that's what we're doing on the island of Vasikkasaari at the moment. It was officially opened for public this summer. It's served by boat traffic at the moment, and some small-scale investments have been built there, but the future of this island is yet to come. Thank you.